Privacy is an important topic for libraries of all types: academic, public, school, and special libraries. There are some general but important privacy guidelines that apply to all libraries. Libraries should have a privacy policy that they relate to their patrons, and they should protect patrons' personally identifiable information. Libraries should not create any unnecessary records or keep records any longer than is necessary. Judith Krug's article, Intellectual Freedom and the American Library Association, defines intellectual freedom as the right to freedom of thought, expression, and access to informational materials of any kind. In academia, faculty and students engage in research, studies, and teaching on potentially unpopular topics. This is especially true in the realms of religion and politics, but it's certainly not contained to any specific subject matter. These topics, though, create an intellectually stimulating environment that is necessary for ideas to grow and evolve. In order to foster this open academic atmosphere, it's particularly important to protect academic and intellectual freedoms on campuses. Faculty conducting research or teaching in sensitive areas need to be reassured that their jobs are secure, that they will not be unfairly censured based on their information-seeking behaviors. Students likewise need to be assured that their personal and academic information is not released without their consent, nor should they fear targeting or prejudice based on their personally identifiable information. To best protect the rights of faculty and students, academic library directors should create and follow sound privacy policies. They should also minimize record creation and retention and follow up-to-date technology standards.
There are a number of federal and state laws that affect academic library patrons. As librarians, we must obey the laws, but we are citizens too, and when the laws are wrong or excessive, we should work to change them. College students have a right to learn. They should not spend their time worrying that some overzealous government agent or agency will suspect them of wrongdoing because of what they read or what websites they visit. A library should be a place of learning and academic freedom, not an information collection agency for domestic spying. Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act provides that any person designated by the Director of the FBI can issue a national security letter. In practice, this designee is usually a special agent in charge of a regional office. The NSL is a sort of administrative subpoena. It requires no warrant or judicial review. It can be used to compel a library to turn over all information it has about a particular patron, and issues an automatic gag order forbidding the library to tell anyone that it turned over the information, not even the person being investigated. In Connecticut, an NSL was issued ordering a library to turn over all records for a particular IP address, meaning a particular computer, during a specific time period. It was a public computer, so many people could have used it, even though the FBI was investigating only one unnamed person. This raised a number of issues, and the library went to court to fight the subpoena. The FBI finally rescinded the subpoena, but 4 library employees remained under a gag order for more than a year. Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act originally had a sunset clause, meaning it was supposed to expire after 4 years. However, Congress extended it until 2009, then to 2010, and more recently until 2015. At each step, the ALA opposed the original passage and each extension. The USA Patriot Act is not a standalone law, but one that amends a number of other laws to make it easier for the FBI and other agencies to gather information they believe will help prevent terrorism. This has the effect of restricting individual rights, such as academic freedom, and tends to worry library patrons that their quest for information, especially if it involves controversial topics, might be misconstrued in the uneasy climate created by 9/11. This conflicts with the First, Fourth, and 10th Amendments and guidelines of the American Library Association, and makes it more difficult for library patrons and librarians alike. Christopher Matz director of Plow Library at Christian Brothers University, has written about the conflict of values between librarians who try to safeguard the privacy of their patrons and law enforcement agencies who passionately try to stamp out terrorism at its roots. Librarians are as patriotic as anyone, and this conflict is difficult to live with. Someday, the controversy will fade, and the Patriot Act will become just a memory. Students can once again learn without nervously glancing over their shoulders, and librarians can once again safeguard the privacy of their patrons.
The library and IT departments must work together in order to provide privacy to all students. Most, if not all, institutions have an IT policy in place that provides regulations for use of campus resources and networks. If the IT policy does not address privacy concerns, the library must work with IT to outline the privacy policies of the library and protect the privacy of patrons. When reviewing IT policies, determine where identifying data is being stored and who has access to it. Look for loopholes where the IT policy may be less stringent concerning privacy compared to the library. Cooperation with IT may be easier in smaller institutions due to smaller technology infrastructure. However, size should not dictate teamwork, especially when it comes to ensuring privacy. When there are more systems to regulate, privacy becomes more difficult to just wing. Detailed policies are necessary to cover systems and situations. Private institutions may have different needs than public ones, as state privacy laws may not apply to private institutions, so private academic libraries will need to work closely with IT and campus administration to create a tech environment that actively promotes privacy. Know your IT department and their concerns about privacy, and make sure the library's privacy policies are understood by IT. Make IT partners in ensuring the privacy of your patrons. As space in traditional academic libraries dwindles and budgets get tighter, more collection developers are looking to electronic resources to build collections. Online databases and content providers are often managed by third-party companies. While this reduces the burden on the library staff, especially in smaller libraries, librarians must understand the privacy policies of these vendors and how they store the data collected during browsing sessions. Some course management software allows for integration with library systems for retrieval of material. Often this software allows professors and teaching assistants to view what materials are viewed by students. Libraries must work with teaching faculty to explain the privacy policies of the library concerning circulated materials, and also work with course management vendors and IT to disable or limit such tracking if it is integrated with library systems, such as course reserves or interlibrary loans. Know what information is collected by your vendors, and make sure that your patrons are aware of what is being collected and stored when they use databases and other electronic materials. Radio frequency ID or RFID technology is still fairly new, yet the implications for privacy must be discussed in the library prior to its implementation. RFID tags store information about the materials they are attached to, including its location. While RFID can make tracking materials much easier, especially in a large university research library system, care needs to be taken concerning who has access to the tracking data and what identifying information is stored. Integrated library systems and library management systems, even if not using new technologies such as RFID, are still repositories for patron data. Know what information is kept by ILS and how it is stored and for how long. This is another opportunity for the library to partner with IT, especially if the library does not manage the servers that store the ILS circulation and patron records. For resources about technology and privacy in the academic library, consult the ALA's Office for Information Technology. Another resource, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, is an advocate of First Amendment and privacy rights related to technology and is another useful resource for academic librarians concerned about privacy and technology.
In the end, it's essential to remember that privacy issues are constantly evolving. As technology and legislation change, so will the relationship between academic libraries and privacy. Nonetheless, the information given should provide a framework for developing conversations and a foundation for future decisions. To learn more about this topic, please see our annotated bibliography. It's also helpful to browse the annotations of these and other sources on the topic, as well as the American Library Association's website.